Hey, friends! Just so you know, we enjoy the swear word and we rely on good old fashioned humor to get through some seriously dark subject matter. At no time do we intend any disrespect toward the victims or families of the victims in the cases we cover. Also, be sure to listen to the end for a few palate cleansing bloopers to reset your mindset. And with that, we thank you for listening and we hope you enjoy.
Hey friends, welcome to Crime Will Tell. Your host, Jamie and Carrie here.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for another riveting episode.
Riveting. I
They're
have high
all
expectations now.
This one I think is pretty interesting. This case is filled with jealousy and greed and animosity, tons of family drama,
Oh,
and unanswered questions. So it's like a true crime's greatest hits.
okay.
So we should probably drink a little bit. What are you sipping on over there?
Well, we're in the upper Midwest, and so we have been under that air quality critical advisory with the heavy smoke coming from the
Yeah.
wildfires in I think
Yeah, it's
Canada
pretty
and
gnarly.
Minnesota. It's and the air is stagnant. The humidity has been tropical for weeks, and our
Yeah.
heat has been in the high 90s. So it's been outside. I'm not drinking bourbon today because that is too hot and heavy for what's hot and
Right.
heavy going on. So I'm actually mixing up. My husband Shawnee enjoys a particular beverage, and I'm channeling him. I'm drinking Jameson Orange and
Ooh.
Sprite, and it
Okay.
is motherfucking refreshing out of a coffee mug because all my shit is dirty. It tastes amazing. What are you
I
drinking?
bet. I am drinking vodka and blueberry lemonade.
Okay,
Which is
first, real
nice and refreshing.
blueberries, crushed, mottled,
No, just
fake,
blueberry flavored
blueberry
lemonade.
flavored.
Yeah, I didn't get
Sounds
too fancy.
refreshing.
Yeah, it's very nice on a hot, smoky
Absolutely.
summer day.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Clink.
Clink.
So this case takes us back to 2018 and to Alpharetta, Georgia, which sits in the northwestern part of the state, just outside of Atlanta. And this is where the affluent Farris family lived in a massive house on a 10-acre farm. The property included a creek, a pond, multiple pastures, as well as this gigantic house, a large barn. It was just absolutely
Sounds beautiful. Private. Ugh.
Yeah. The Farris family included 58-year-old Gary Farris, who was a successful commercial real estate lawyer. His wife of 38 years, named Melody, she, I believe, was also 58 at this time. And their 4 adult children. They had 2 sons, Chris and Scott, and 2 daughters, Emily and Amanda. And so at this time in 2018, the Ferris children were all in their late 20s and early 30s. I didn't have exact ages for them, and it doesn't really matter, but they were adults.
Okay. Is Ferris spelled like Ferris wheel, or is it Faris? Like,
It's
how is it spelled?
Farris.
It's the Ferris wheel spelled incorrectly. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Faris. Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said Ferris wheel because we'll get into
something
that relates to
Okay.
They didn't have a Ferris wheel on the property. It wasn't Michael Jackson's
that would have
place,
been my family crest if my last name was Ferris.
Right? No shit. So their son Scott, who was an Army veteran, actually lived on the property. He lived in an apartment above the barn, and kind of have to look at like an aerial view, but the barn was not like right next to the house. It was down a driveway a little bit away. So it wasn't like he was just on top of them all the time, and he kind of had his own space.
So there was privacy for both the farmhouse and the barn, but they were co-located.
Correct.
Okay.
And so he helped take care of the property and the animals. They had horses and goats. And one key thing that I need to point out about this family is that their lives and their relationships with each other were filled with drama.
Oh,
They lived what appeared to be this like idyllic life on this beautiful farm, but anyone close to them knew that there was just constant chaos and animosity within the family.
like
They
within
were not,
the sixth of that, like within
yeah,
like Chris,
yeah, there
Scott,
was,
Emily, Amanda, mom, dad, like all
yeah,
like they just all like fought
they
like
were
cats and dogs.
yeah, there was just a lot of tension between
Do you
them.
imagine being in that? Oh my god.
No, no.
But we're about to
And
eat our popcorn and listen and watch this drama, aren't we?
right. So
Okay.
this will become apparent as we go through the details of this case. So on July 5th of 2018, Melody went to her son Scott, who again lived and managed the property, and told him that she couldn't find her husband Gary. She's like, I've been looking for him. I don't know where he is. Their grandkids were visiting and they wanted to go for a ride on their RTV, which is a rough terrain vehicle, with their grandpa, who they actually called Big Daddy. I do
Oh,
not like, yeah, I don't like that nickname. I don't like saying it. It makes me feel really gross, but whatever. So
it's Big
Gary,
Daddy.
aka Big Daddy, was a big dude. He was 6'5" and weighed 300 pounds.
He's a big daddy.
Yeah, he was a big daddy. And he had a lot of health issues. He was a heavy smoker and had high blood pressure. So the family was very concerned when they couldn't find him, thinking that he may have gone off to do chores or something and
And
had a
drop
heart
dead.
attack and,
Yeah.
yeah, collapsed and, was needing assistance. So the family, who on this day included their daughter Amanda and son Chris, because they were visiting, this was the day after the 4th of July. So I'm assuming that the family kind of got together that day. And they began searching the entire farm for Gary, but they couldn't find him anywhere.
And it's not like he can be overlooked.
Yeah, you're going to see him. So there was a burn pile on the farm, which most people on a property that size will have. It's just like after a
Yeah.
storm, you burn shit, yard waste,
Yeah.
trash, whatever. So as Scott and his mother were searching for Gary near that burn pile, Scott noticed what appeared to be bones in the remnants of the fire. And as he looked closer, he was like, those are human bones. So he immediately called the police and asked that they come out to the farm.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. And no, oh, okay, I'm just going to shut my mouth right now because I have 57 questions and I'm
Right?
guessing we're going to get to them. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All
Yep. Yep.
right.
We'll
So
get there.
Scott notices bones in a burn pile after searching 10 acres and they can't find Big Daddy. Okay.
So when officers arrived at the Farris property, they determined that they were, in fact, human bones, and it didn't take a crack squad to figure out that it was likely Gary's remains in the fire. Gary's missing. We found human remains while searching for him on private property. It wasn't hard to connect those dots.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, it was believed that with Gary's health issues, he died of natural causes, that he may have had some sort of medical issue while working on the farm that caused him to collapse and unfortunately fall
That's what I
into
was
the
just thinking.
fire
Yes.
while he was burning things. But as the forensic team was searching through the burn pit and pulling out and identifying the remaining bones, they noticed that there was a 38 caliber bullet, that's very hard to say, lodged in one of the rib bones that was found. Gary had been shot before his body was burned. And so with that discovery, what could have
Wow.
potentially been an accidental death officially became a homicide.
Wow. That turned quick.
Yes, big time. So detectives began questioning the family, and getting those answers with this particular family would not be easy for investigators. Immediately, there was a lot of finger pointing and division. Melody, again, Gary's wife, said that the last time she had seen her husband was on the evening of July 3rd, 2018. According to her, Gary had come to her and asked if she was going to make dinner, and she said, and I quote, Gary, there's enough food in that refrigerator there to feed Cox's army. If you don't want it, then go get something to eat.
All right.
Now, as a feminist who doesn't believe that a woman's purpose is to pump out casseroles to feed their hungry men, I would normally enjoy that response. But after seeing Melody Ferris, she seems like one of the nastiest human beings I have ever come across. So it's like, okay, yeah, that was probably a pretty typical response from her and how she treated her husband. There's actually like a photo that I saw that shows Gary, like with who I assume were his granddaughters, but he's like wearing a birthday party hat, and these girls are like on each side of him, and they seem just like they love their grandpa, and he's like loving every second of it. And then in the background, you can see Melody just like sitting in a chair, like kind of just away from everybody else, basically just glaring and looking fucking miserable.
Oh my.
And to me, that photo just kind of summed up what I assume their personalities were like and
Yeah.
what their dynamic in that family was. Like
Ugh.
Big Daddy's fun and lovable, and then Grandma
Mama Melody ain't.
Butthole Mouth is just cold and mean.
Butthole mouth.
So maybe she was a goddamn delight, but
Melody
it
and her stink star
sure,
smile.
yeah, yeah. She's just like, oh my god! The second I saw her, I was like, ha, she did it. She's awful. She's a horrible human. But anyway, so Melody stated that that was the last interaction that she had with her husband. Now, I don't know how clear like the timeline was there, but if you're wondering how Melody saw her husband on the evening of the 3rd of July and didn't see him again until his remains were discovered 2 days later, I'm with you. Because I was like, wait,
And there's a
what?
major holiday in there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
usually family celebrations and like the
Right.
celebration of the country's independence and like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah. There's
major holiday.
a lot of
And
seeing each other
I
around
didn't
that
see him
time.
on July 4th.
He's hard to hide. Like my wife and I live in a tiny house. It's impossible for us to lose each other. And if I haven't seen her for hours and don't know where she is, I'm going to be like, wonder what she's up to. Maybe I should find her. But Gary and Melody Ferris had a very different living arrangement. So, first of all, they lived in this massive fucking $1 million house. So, there was plenty of space for them to spread out. And they had separate bedrooms. Gary slept in a bedroom in the basement of the home because he, surprise, had sleep apnea and needed a CPAP machine. It kept Melody up, I'm sure, so they slept apart on different floors of the home. So,
They were married for 38 years, but they weren't in a marriage. They were roommates that fought.
yeah, they weren't trying to like snuggle on the couch
Uh-uh.
at night. They weren't that
Yeah.
couple.
They weren't trying to keep up any pretenses. Their children were adult and out of the house. They fucking hated each other. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, knowing that, it makes a little more sense to me that like some time went by without seeing each other. And, I think it was pretty common for him to just be out puttering around on the farm. So it wasn't unusual for her to like not know where he was or for her to go fairly long periods of time without having eyes on him.
Actually, probably the longer the better, right?
Right? Yeah, in that case, she wasn't actively trying to find him. She was just like, I don't care what that motherfucker's up to. Their son Scott told detectives that he had last seen his father at lunchtime on the 3rd of July. So that same day that Melody had last seen him. Now, I don't know if Melody joined them or if she was like, figure it out, you turds. There's plenty of food in the fridge, like the response she'd had later in the day. But that was the last time that he had seen Gary alive. Scott then left the farm to go spend the day with some friends, and he didn't get home until around 11:30 that night. He told detectives that when he got home that night, like it was late, but he said that he could see a glow in the distance where the burn pile was. His dad had told him that he was going to be burning some stuff that day, so he just assumed that that's exactly what he'd done and that the fire was still burning. It was nothing out of the ordinary, so he thought nothing of it and went to bed.
And that was the evening of July of the 3rd
Of
of
the
July.
3rd.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
Scott saw his dad at lunch, and then Melody said the last time she saw him was that evening when he was like, "I'm hungry again." And she was like, "Fuck off." And
And
that
then
was
later
like
that evening,
the end of it.
Scott came home, and when he had
Mhm.
looked off into the distance, he saw like an orange glow in the direction of the fire
Yeah.
pit and put
Yeah.
two and two together.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, dad did burn some stuff today." That
makes
was
sense.
like just such a fleeting thought,
Yeah, like,
like nothing.
dad's
Mhm.
out burning shit at the pile. Okay.
Melody and Scott allowed investigators to test their hands for accelerants. Both tests came back negative. So they were seemed to be cooperative, but like in private conversations, things were getting a little wonky.
Okay.
Investigators searched the property and discovered a shotgun in the house and multiple other guns and ammunition in the barn. Again, not an unusual thing on a farm. People have guns. Scott told them that he had recently seen a pistol in the basement of the home, but that it was now missing. And he didn't really know anything about it. He was like, I just happened to kind of notice one down there and now it's not there. So just want to let you guys know. I don't know what that's about. Whatever.
Okay.
He also pointed out that his mother had his dad's wallet, which was really odd because she was like, I found it in the console of his car. And Scott was like, he never left his wallet just laying around. He never left it in his car.
So that raised a flag in Scott's mind.
Yeah, because he was like, why do you have dad's wallet? And she's like, oh, it was in his car. Like, number one, I don't think she probably would have been in his car. Had no reason to be like rooting around for
Yeah,
in the
clearly Melody and
console.
Gary weren't on the best of terms.
Yeah. So it just was
Okay.
like a weird thing. And he's like,
Hmm.
I'm just letting you know any weird stuff that I've picked up on or whatever. And so, like I said, this is when the drama and the tension in this already turbulent family kicked into high gear. And I'm going to get to the Ferris wheel thing here because, like, due to the massive amounts of drama in this family that was like so just palpable to anyone that knew them, they were often referred to as the Ferris wheel. And this wheel was a
Because they
turning.
were
Like, it
going
was,
around and around and
yeah,
around.
just like constantly churning shit
And it was
and just
all this
whatever.
drama and intrigue was focused inward within the
Yeah.
family. I'm
Yeah.
kind of here for it. I mean, it's really sad.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart for sure. Family dynamics that are like that are that's very sad to hear. But you know, true crime is so heavy. I'm just gonna take the light where I can.
One thing that is really sad about this case to me, just as far as like Gary's memory goes, is that his death is definitely overshadowed by
The drama.
the drama and just the chaos in the family. And it's like, even researching this at times, I had to be like, a guy died. Like, this is still a murder. Like, because it was
Yeah.
just so much focus on
And I think
them
that's part of
going
the
back and
problem with our
forth. And
society, with our
yeah,
culture. I can't speak for anywhere else except where I live, you know, being in the United States. We are a salacious culture and we are unabashedly attracted to all the drama. And then we stir the pot and we make it worse because we entertain ourselves with and we want to sow chaos. It's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, it
It's
is
ridiculous.
very stupid.
Yeah.
In recorded conversations with Melody, she told investigators that Scott and Gary did not get along, that they would often get into big arguments about how things should be run on the farm. She painted her son as being just a total hothead who angered very easily and was pretty much like telling detectives, like, I think he killed his dad.
Okay. So Melody's guns blazing.
Yeah, on scene, like in separate locations. Like, she's like, I think my son did it. And he's like, I think my mom did it.
Okay.
And they're
Yep.
both feeding information to try and like prove their cases. Scott was seeing things that made him believe his mother Melody was definitely responsible for his father's death. He told detectives that he had just always had a gut feeling that if something ever happened to his dad, that his mother would likely be responsible. Like, what a beautiful, loving dynamic, eh?
No, officer, seriously. I've always thought that if anything weird happened to my dad, my mom's fingerprints are all over that. Oh my God.
He also said that the day before his father went missing, his mom had walked out of the house just holding a plate in her hand, which she immediately threw against the outside of the house, breaking it into like a ton of pieces. And she was screaming something along the lines of like, I can't wait until that fucking man is dead and I don't have to live with him anymore. I'm sure detectives were like, okay, did that really happen? But they did find a video on Gary's phone that showed, like, he was taking a video outside of the house and he was showing the pieces of the broken plate outside. And he just says, this is what happens when you leave a plate.
Oh my
Just kind of
gosh.
defeated and whatever. So they were like, oh, that must have legit happened.
Happened.
So, and at some point prior to the murder, I'm not sure exactly when she sent it, but Melody did send a text to a friend saying, I hope he dies alone and a gruesome death.
That woman is savage.
Yeah, yeah. So there were multiple witnesses to her wishing his death, like not long before it happened. So now I'm going to tell you about some of the evidence that investigators found inside of the Farris's home. They noticed that there were like really small drops of blood in the kitchen, and then some on the stairs going down to the basement, and then a few more like on the basement floor. This wasn't like a huge steady trail of blood. It was just like
A
it took
drop
them a
here.
while to like find them all, and they were determined to be Gary's blood.
Okay.
They also found a 38 caliber bullet. Why is caliber such a hard fucking word for me?
It's very hard.
It's a hard word. They also found a 38 caliber bullet on the floor in the basement, which was the same type of bullet, that was found in the rib bone in the fire
Yeah.
pit. So this led detectives to believe that a struggle had probably started in the kitchen on the main level of the home and somehow extended down the stairs into the basement. So who the fuck would have wanted Big Daddy Gary dead? Who shot him?
Melody and Scott.
Why? Yeah. Like I said, he was a big dude. Who would have
Yeah.
been
How
able
big
to
was he again?
physically
Remind
move
me.
his body to that burn pile? He was 6'5", 300 pounds.
That is a giant man.
Yeah. As detectives tried to narrow down the list of people who would want to harm Gary, they, of course, wanted to know if there were any extramarital affairs that might have led to enemies of Gary's. But Gary was faithful to his wife, Melody. Like, he never strayed. Melody, though, not so much.
Ah, Melody is savage. My God, that woman.
Yeah. And although she initially told investigators that she was a geyser wife, Old Faithful.
Oh my God.
But as they did a search of the items in her purse, they made a couple interesting discoveries. The first of these was birth control, which threw
Wait,
me by
wait,
surprise.
wait. Was it Melody like in her late 50s?
Yes, yes. Why would she not have already been through menopause? I think she was 58. I don't know, but there was birth control in her purse.
That I don't. Maybe it was prescribed for something else.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Birth control is often prescribed for things other than controlling birth.
Right.
But
But I think,
I
but
have
to
to believe it had
them,
something to do
and
that.
like in the
It's
evidence located, it was
alarming.
like, oh my God, why would she need
Not
birth
something I would
control?
expect to see. And especially being in the purse. Like, why wouldn't it be in the medicine cabinet?
Right. Yeah. So it was just a very strange discovery. And the second item was a credit card that belonged to a man named Roy Barton. So they were like, hey, Melody, what the fuck? They learned that Roy Barton, who went by Rusty, was a farm equipment salesman from Tennessee and Melody's boyfriend.
Mm.
The couple met in 2014 when Melody was helping to care for one of her sick cousins, who also happened to be Rusty's stepmother. They
Wait,
began sleeping together, which is not officially incestuous, but feels like a mild case of incest to me. So it was her cousin's stepson. So they aren't like blood related,
Okay.
but it
Okay.
still feels a little icky to me. And they had a romantic relationship from that point on.
Oh, okay. So this was a long-term affair. Like this is 4
Yes.
years plus. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When asked about her relationship with Rusty, Melody said that she loved him, but wasn't in love with him. It was clear she was trying to, really downplay her feelings for
Mm-hmm.
him. They learned that the couple was in constant contact with each other, and she was using multiple burner phones to communicate with him. And they had even been searching for wedding bands online. She said she was not serious about marrying Rusty. She said, "You don't marry the person you are having an affair with." It happens all the time, you dink. I don't know why that was like her big argument.
Like as if she were like, duh. Everybody knows you don't marry the dude you're having an
Yeah,
affair with. Fuck,
you
how
just don't.
stupid can you be?
Yeah, and I'm
Like,
like,
okay. I'm not versed in affair etiquette.
right. Sorry, Melody.
God. Jesus.
She knew that admitting to wanting to marry her lover would be a pretty solid motive to kill her husband. So she was like
Yeah.
trying to distance herself
Mm-hmm.
from these emotions. And this wasn't her first affair. She had a history of disappearing at times to be with other men while she racked up charges on the couple's credit cards. It seemed like she really loved Gary's money, but didn't care much for Gary. He was basically funding her other relationships.
If there's one thing we can say about Melody is that woman lived unapologetically.
Yes. In February of 2010, Gary had actually filed for divorce,
Oh,
but the petition for divorce was dismissed about 6 months later. Didn't say why, but
who
like
dismissed it? He did?
yeah,
He
yeah,
withdrew it?
yeah, because he would have had to have been the
Oh,
one since
he filed
he,
it in order for it to be dismissed. He would have had to been the one. Okay, so she
right.
somehow, some way talked him into dropping it. That woman is manipulative.
Yeah, she is. So their marriage was fractured and
Clearly
it
off the
led to
rails.
years of fighting, like a lot of fights in regards to her infidelity and issues about money. Apparently, Melody thought that her relationship with Rusty, and I really hope that she was up to date on her tetanus shot, was a total secret, but she sucked at hiding it. Her kids knew, her friends knew, even Gary knew that this was going on. When their daughter Emily got married in 2016, Melody invited Rusty to the wedding. Like, can you imagine? Like, oh, hey, daughter, don't forget to invite my cousin's stepson, who I'm screwing, to your wedding. And they didn't do a good job of being covert at the wedding.
I
Melody was
love this so much.
drinking and dancing with Rusty during the reception, which made it really awkward for everyone, especially their fucking kids and
I
poor
can't even.
Gary. In all their family photos, Rusty's just like leaning around behind like a tree. Like, I want him in the photos. I love him. I hate him. But you don't marry your
You don't
boyfriend.
marry your lover. Everybody know that. What do you think I am, dumb?
Following that wedding was when the drama with the family got even worse. During an interview with 48 Hours, Scott Farris said, "The whole Ferris wheel term, none of us really like it, but if you want to know who the motor was of turning that Ferris wheel, it was Melody Ferris." So he was
Yep.
like, my mom was the one just in the center of everything. He said that she was always stirring the pot and creating drama, and that most of it was centered around money. Gary did very well. He made a lot of money as a lawyer in Atlanta, and he was a very generous man. From what I could tell, he was kind and giving and just kind of a big teddy bear. Like, people seem to really love him, and he had a big heart.
Okay, I don't cringe at Big Daddy anymore then. It sounds like he was a lovely man.
Yeah, and like I said, he was very generous with his money, and he would help his children out financially, giving them money to buy houses or support their
Wow.
businesses, and that really pissed Melody off. Like, she thought that their children were taking advantage of Gary's kindness, and she said that their oldest son Chris was actually stealing money from them which I did see multiple times in articles, but I wasn't able to really like confirm if
Mm.
that was true or just more just drama she was spewing. The arrangement that Gary and Scott had made was that Scott would work and live on the farm, and then Gary would just give him money, just basically like spending money, kind of an allowance, because he was living for free. So that was, their arrangement. Melody told detectives that Scott had pretty much stopped doing things around the farm and was just golfing or hanging out with his friends, which Gary also paid for. She seemed to take any opportunity to criticize her son, and it just felt like she really hated that her husband was supporting him even though he was just getting paid for the work that he was doing.
My God, this woman makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you should look up photos of her because I'm telling you, she's just
She
like,
wears her meanness right on her face. She can't not. She's so black inside.
yeah. And I know some people with resting bitch face are could be the nicest people on the planet,
Yeah.
but she has resting bitch face because she's a fucking bitch. In response to that, Scott was like, the agreement that I have with my dad worked really well for us. Like, we never had any issues. And he was like, I'm not here to mooch off of my father. I'm here to help him out. And like it just has been like a really good arrangement. I don't know what she's talking about. In fact, he said that it was his mom who was causing the financial strain in the family due to her affair with Rusty. She would leave for weeks at a time to be with him, spend thousands of dollars from the account that she shared with her husband. Gary, like I said earlier, was like basically funding these other relationships with other men. Detectives did find texts between Gary and Melody where he told her that she really needed to rein in her spending. Her cheating allowance, of course, then was in danger of being cut off. Is that potentially motive for murder? I fucking think so.
Why was Gary letting this happen?
I
Why was
don't know
he willing to
why.
fund this behavior?
I don't know why.
I wonder if he just, at the end of the day, he just loved her and was just trying to do whatever to keep the family together.
I don't know. Or maybe he thought that he'd lose the farm that he loved, that she'd take it, try to take everything
Or
away from
maybe
him.
he
And
knew what she was capable of, and it was a lot
yeah,
safer for him to keep her closer. Well,
right.
so can I ask a question about the
Yeah.
nature of all the family drama? Was it more of like a hub and spoke action, or was it more of like a plate of spaghetti? Meaning, was there drama between all the kids and themselves, and then their parents, and parents between and the kids between each other, and the parents between each other? And then, like, was it all over the place, or was it like drama between Melody and everybody that was stirring the pot?
I think it was a little bit of everything.
Okay, so it's
The
kind of
money
chaotic.
was, yeah, money was the center of it. And I feel like some of the stuff that I read kind of alluded to, like, when I mentioned before that he would help them buy a home or whatever, then
Hmm.
the other three siblings are like, why are you buying
Yeah.
so and so
Okay.
a home? Or why are you
Okay.
helping him? And it was just like everybody wanted the money.
Got it.
And so, however, there was tension,
Got it.
like, I can't believe
Yep.
you're giving our kid money, but I can't have spending, it just was all focused around money
Greedy.
and, yeah, greed, selfishness,
Ugh.
jealousy, all of it. Yeah. Rusty, Melody's lovely boyfriend, told detectives that during the last conversation he had with Melody on the 4th of July, which was the day before Gary was found, she told him he is in the burn pile.
What?
Yeah, so the day before Gary was found, this would have been the 4th of
July
July,
4th.
he was having a conversation with his girlfriend Melody, and at the very end, she just said, he's in the burn pile. So he was like, wait, what? And she just repeated herself. She's like, he's in the burn pile. And according to him, he allegedly responded with, do not say another word. Do not tell me anything. I do not need to know. And the call ended. So Rusty seemed like he was being completely honest with investigators at that time.
Okay.
On June 18th of 2019, so after almost a year after Gary was killed, Melody Farris was arrested in Tennessee where
Mm.
she was staying with her boyfriend Rusty, but there were a lot of questions about how she could have gotten his body from their house to the burn pile, which was about
Yes.
50 yards away.
Thank you.
Melody is a small woman. She weighs around 130 pounds. I think she was 5'4", I
Oh,
think she
yeah. She's
is
not
five
very
four.
big
So
at all.
she's, yeah. And again, Gary at 6'5" and 300
Big daddy.
pounds would not be easy for anyone to move.
Mm.
So detectives are like, we know she did it, but how did she get his ass down the hill to the burn pile?
Maybe did she roll him? It's not like he's a fucking slinky.
We'll go through the theories a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
But
Fuck.
so the house did have a walkout basement. So there were like sliding glass doors that led
Oh,
out to
sounds
a
beautiful. My
patio and then
goodness.
out, into the
Yeah.
backyard. So it's not like somebody would have had to move his body from the basement back up the stairs to the main floor and then out through like a garage or another exterior door. There was also that RTV that I'd mentioned previously, which is, set up like a gator that has like the little bed on it that you can haul stuff. And there was also a tractor with a scoop on the front of it on the property. There were tire tracks all over the property, but no like obvious tracks from like the back of the house
Oh,
down to the burn pile or
wow.
something that would have been super
Like
obvious.
like some kind of like runway. It
Yeah.
happened this way.
Right? Like, wow, that must have been
Look
it.
over here.
Both of those vehicles were seized by the detectives for testing since they could have possibly been used
Yeah.
during the crime. And the forensic team found Gary's blood on the tractor. There were small amounts of blood found on the side. It was kind of like near where maybe your like left leg would be if you were
Okay.
driving the tractor.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of strange. On the RTV, they discovered Melody's blood on the gear shift. There was no blood found on the bucket of the tractor or in the back of the RTV. So nothing super
Were
helpful
either
there
recently
because
cleaned?
no.
Okay. So obviously those weren't used to move his
Yeah.
body.
And like, as far as Gary's blood being found on the side, like that could have come from a scratch or a
Anything.
cut on
Yeah.
his leg. It just kind of ended up being a little bit of a dead end. Because initially detectives, of course, were like, she somehow
Excited.
got him in one of
Hmm.
these vehicles or in the bucket of the tractor and just drove his ass down the hill. Makes sense. There was a theory that she simply just manually rolled Gary's body from the house downhill to the burn pile. I mean, could maybe happen, but that would still take a ton of strength and energy to
Yes.
even roll him. And he's a big dude. He's not going to just take off down the hill. It's going to be kind of a slow process.
Do we know how steep that hill was?
No, I don't think it was like a huge grade or anything. It was enough
Yeah.
downhill that it would help if you were rolling a body, but not enough that he
Not
just
enough
would have
to be
like
like,
set sail down the hill and
Sets
perfectly landed in the fire pit.
I keep thinking of Weekend at Bernie's.
I know. Yeah, same. And there was no blood evidence like in the yard indicating that a bleeding body was rolled or dragged those 50 yards. As a very
Okay.
large man, if he had been pushed or dragged, I feel like there would have been marks in the ground that
Hmm.
would have supported that. That would fuck up some
No
grass.
question. Yeah. There would be signs.
I think it happened here. Yeah, like
Not so much here or here, but more
right.
so around here.
This slip and slide track that you see down fucking hill.
It seems fresh.
And if you're wondering if maybe Rusty had come into town and the happy couple moved the body together, the answer would be no. Investigators were able to confirm that Rusty was in Tennessee at the time of the murder and the period where Gary was missing. So he was never charged with anything related to the crime. Did he know more about what happened and did he know she was going to do this? Maybe, but nothing officially has ever come of it. So Melody's trial began in October of 2024. Following the murder of their father and arrest of their mother, the Farris children were divided on who they felt was responsible for the murder. Three of the kids, Chris, Emily, and of course Scott all believe that their mother killed their dad, but Amanda, the youngest, stood by her mother and believed she was innocent. And in an interview,
Okay.
Melody was like, "She's a good girl." I'm like, ugh. The prosecution argued that even though they didn't know exactly how she did it, Melody Ferris killed her husband in order to get his money. He had millions of dollars in assets, and she was the beneficiary of Gary's $2 million life insurance policy. She would have been able to marry her boyfriend, Rusty, and they could have lived off Gary's money
Mm-hmm.
probably for the rest of their lives. They speculated that on the evening of July 3rd, Gary and Melody got into an argument. She ended up shooting him in the kitchen, and he ran down the stairs to get away from her, where she ended up shooting him again, once he got downstairs. How he ended up in the burn pile was a bit of a mystery, but based on Gary's cell phone records, they were able to determine that on July 4th, when Gary's body would have already been moved to that burn pile, his cell phone moved from the house to the burn pile and then back to the house. Melody Ferris was the only one home at that time.
Ooh, that's almost a smoking gun.
Yeah. And data from Scott's cell phone showed that he was miles away from the farm during that time. He
Oh,
was actually gone from around like 6:30 that morning until about 8:30 that night. So she had like 14 hours with no one around, which gave her a lot of time
means, motive,
to do some body
opportunity.
burning and covering up of a crime.
Oh my God.
The defense's argument was that Scott killed his father and tried to pin the crime on his very own mother. What a monster. He wanted the farm and his father's money. Now, if you thought Gary was a big dude, Scott is 6'8" and weighs almost 300 pounds. So he's actually taller than his dad and weighs about the same.
Holy mother of God, those are some serious genes.
Physically, he was obviously the likely one that would have been able to move Gary's body. So that made him like immediately a suspect,
Uh,
basically, in the
Of
beginning of all of
course. He also
this.
lived
And
there and they had to rule him
yeah.
out.
And where was the murder weapon? The gun used to shoot Gary was never found.
Hmm.
Scott was apparently the only one who owned a 38 caliber pistol, and the bullet found in the rib bone actually matched the ammunition that he had for that gun. But it was never found. Nobody was able to locate it.
It would not have been difficult for Melody to go get the gun and his bullets.
Anyone would have had access to that ammunition in the barn. It's not like
Yeah.
Scott lived 100 miles away in an apartment and
Uh-huh.
no one had a key to it. He lived down the driveway
Uh-huh. Yep.
in an area that everyone was able to access. So,
And Melody strikes me as the more unscrupulous type, that it wouldn't
yeah.
bother her to just take what she needs to do what she has to do.
Yeah, it's a pretty damn easy way to set
Mm-hmm.
somebody up. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. And I want to point out again that while the family was searching for Gary when he was missing, it was Scott who noticed the bones in the burned pile. If he killed his father and knew exactly where the body was, wouldn't he try to focus the search away from that fire and the burn pile instead of, "Hey guys, over here, I think I found Big Daddy"? That makes no sense to me. Melody kept saying, like, Scott's the one who found him, like it proved his guilt.
Well, I mean, she's obviously using the defense. He who smelt it dealt it. He's trying to throw you off by suggesting that he found the body and taking you right to the body. But how did
Yeah,
he just happen to notice bones in a burn pile?
right.
I mean, those are very circumstantial. But if you're trying to just ingest reasonable doubt,
Exactly. The defense was trying everything that they
yes.
could to
Yep.
drop those little pins of doubt. The defense also said that the blood drops found in the house were from a dog bite that Gary got on his ankle and that he had bled as he walked through the house. Their daughter was also able to confirm that
Okay.
not that that's where the blood came from, but that her dad
That
had been
event
bit.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. They stated that drops that small didn't align with the high amount of blood you would expect to see from a gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily agree with that. I
Mm.
would absolutely expect to see a lot of blood from a gunshot victim who was not moving or lying in one spot. But I was trying to think about it and I was like, let's say that Melody did shoot him in the rib, like so in the side. It probably wouldn't have just taken him down. He was a big motherfucker. So I was like, the first thing you would do would be to put your hand there. And so I was like, there may have been like little drops of blood coming off of his hand that was holding the wound, but like a wound there would have to get through his clothes all the
Mm-hmm.
way down and like
Mm-hmm.
start coming out like a pant leg in
Yeah,
order
that's
for
right.
that to
You're
work.
right.
So depending on where he was shot, I was like, we know he was shot in the rib. So I was just like, how would that have happened? And if he immediately was like, fuck, and started running, that's going to help it even more from just
Yeah.
like immediately pouring out of
Okay,
him.
hang on for a second. What about the theory of Big Daddy running downstairs and running out of the house?
Yeah.
And that's how he got to the burn pit. And he collapsed in the area, and then it was easier to roll him into it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of like I could see both ways there, but it's not like he was shot in the head and collapsed and they were like, where's the giant puddle of blood? Like
Mm-hmm.
it might not have been that type of wound. Old Trusty Rusty testified during the trial. Even though Melody downplayed their relationship, Rusty testified that they were absolutely in love with each other and planned to get married. So he was like, I confirm that she wasn't being for real. And remember the call that he said took place on the day before Gary was found when Melody said he was in the burn pile?
Yes.
Well, he originally stated that the call took place before Gary was found, but during the trial, he testified that the call actually happened after he was found.
He was mistaken about the time.
Whoopsie. Yeah, he just mixed up the dates, which to me is bullshit. Like he conveniently changed his story after Melody was arrested while she was with him in Tennessee. I think
Okay.
he was protecting her.
Yeah.
Scott also testified during the trial and denied having anything to do with his father's death. He was emotional when he talked about Gary, and sitting across the room, his mother, Melody, just glared at him.
Oh my God.
She said in an interview with 48 Hours that his testimony and emotional display were all an act. He openly said that because of his size, of course, like he was an obvious suspect. He was like, yeah, duh, like, of course I'm going to be questioned and
Yeah.
considered a
You have to
suspect.
rule me out.
Yeah, but he was like, I was not involved in any way. I would never hurt my father. His siblings, Chris and Emily, also testified and did not paint their mother in the best light. They all pretty much said that she was mean and that she would demand money from Gary and would try to turn them against their father. It seemed like her feelings about her children being selfish and money hungry were all just projections of her own behavior.
Mm-hmm.
She was pissed that her kids were getting money that she
Yep.
felt belonged to her. Like, I think that's what it all comes down to.
She is a mother that would eat her young. I stand by that statement.
Yeah, for sure. Amanda, their youngest daughter, also testified, but she said that her mother told her that she was innocent and she was going to believe her until evidence was presented to her that would prove otherwise. The trial wrapped up on October 30th of 2024. So this was like 6 years after the murder. It took a
Okay.
while for this all to
Yeah.
be settled. After deliberating for 3 days, the jury was
Mm.
deadlocked on a verdict.
Fuck.
They came back and they were like, we just can't. And the judge was like, you guys get back in there and you figure something out. Um, and it was like, you need to
Wow.
try, at least try again one more time to reach a conclusion. And just a few hours later, they came back with a verdict.
Oh.
Melody Farris was found guilty on all
Ah.
5 counts
Thank
against
God.
her. She was charged with felony murder, murder with malice, aggravated assault, making a false statement, and concealing the death of another.
Mm.
And I think the biggest question in this case is how could such a small woman move such a large man? For me, I believe there was way too much focus on the lack of blood inside of the house and how she could have moved his body. There was no evidence that he even died inside of the house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
None of it made sense. And I think the answer is much simpler. One of the jurors who spoke on the 48 hours that I watched on this had a theory about what happened. And as I was watching, I was like, yeah, that's what makes the most fucking sense to me, too, lady. Good thinking. So I and the other juror believe that the couple got into an argument in the house and Melody ended up shooting Gary in the kitchen, but just injuring him. He either ran away and she chased him down the stairs, or she ordered him to go to the
Mm.
basement
Mm-hmm.
where they could walk out the patio doors,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe from the back of their house, like it's just on the main floor, like a deck comes off of it. So there's not like an easy outdoor.
Oh, I see.
So it may have been like, we're going to, like, if we go out the basement, we're heading right down to the burn pile.
She marched him out to the burn pile by gunpoint.
I think that
Oh, that
he,
is, yes, I'm with you and the juror.
either way, I think she forced him from the
Yeah.
house at gunpoint,
Yep.
made him walk down to the burn pile where she delivered a final shot.
Oh my God. He knew exactly what happened, who was doing it, and that he was going to die.
Yeah, and then all she had to do was start a fire when she knew nobody was going to be home for a couple days. As if this case wasn't filled with enough drama and bitterness, at her sentencing hearing, Melody had the opportunity to, speak to the court, make apologies for any involvement, come clean, ask for leniency on her sentence, the typical things that get said at those hearings. But Melody chose to take that opportunity to
Oh boy.
blame her son Scott for Gary's murder, which shocked and horrified everyone in the courtroom. I mean, there is literally footage of people just sitting there like, what in the fuck is happening, including Scott. Poor Scott lost his father, who he loved and admired, and his nasty bitch mom was blaming him for his murder. And it's not like she just kind of like threw that into a bunch of other stuff. She used that entire time to solely blame Scott and just like reiterate all the reasons
Oh my.
why he did it. She said that her mother, like, so Scott's grandmother, had suspected that Scott did it. And she told Melody, her daughter, to take the blame to protect her son. She was just the perfect mother who'd do anything for her children, but she said she just couldn't do it anymore.
Barf.
She told 48 Hours, it's the perfect murder. You kill your daddy, you set your mother up, she goes to prison, you get everything.
Dang.
The judge was not having it. Like, him watching her was just like, shut the fuck up. But he was like, hey, crazy pants, I'm going to cut you off. And she just kept trying to like run her asshole mouth saying, that she wanted to be present to see her son shackled and sentenced for the murder. Like, he was like, no, stop it.
A jury of your peers convicted you. You're done.
64-year-old Melody Farris was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 30 years. So in 2054, when she's like 94 years old.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all.
No. And she was sentenced to an additional 5 years for concealing the death by burning Gary's body and for making a false statement to investigators.
Mm.
The sentencing also prohibits her from having any contact with family members unless
good.
they choose to have a relationship and contact with her. She seems like the type of person who would have reached out to her kids from prison just to taunt them and
Yep.
make their lives hell. And the judge obviously saw how vindictive she is and was like, I'm going to protect these kids.
That's awesome.
Which I thought was awesome. So she will be behind bars for the rest of her life. I feel sorry for the people who also have to be behind those bars with her mean ass. I mean, she is like
Mommy dearest. That is motherfucking mommy dearest.
Yeah, she scares me. Like, she is the ultimate Karen.
She is a sociopath.
A Scaren.
A Scaren!
I just, like, I look at pictures and I react to seeing her. Like, she
wears her evil
so
on her face.
cold.
Bye, Melody.
And I don't have any details on what happened with the Farris property. I don't know if Scott is still living there, if they ended up selling it. I have no information on that. I just hope that the four Farris siblings have been able to, or will someday hopefully be able to live closer and, just have healthier, closer relationships without their mother's toxic presence
Yeah.
and division in their lives. So that's,
I hope they're doing well. This was
yeah,
not very long ago. I mean, this
no,
is still kind of fresh for them. Like
yeah,
that's R.I.P. Big Daddy. He
yeah,
sounded like a
it's,
really great guy.
yeah. And so that is the
Fucking
sad
Melody.
case of the senseless murder of Gary Farris, aka Big Daddy. Thank you guys for listening and supporting Crime Will Tell. We appreciate you more than we could ever express. You guys complete us. So
Oh my God. Another barf.
quit barfing. But with that, goodbye, Carrie.
Goodbye, Jamie. Act like you've never heard this before, okay?
Lazy ass.
James here.
But she's like, I'm a nasty fucking bitch. Only my bottom lip moves.
No, I'm tipsy. That's what it is.
What's going on? And whatever. Anyway,
Okay, you need to calm the fuck down, dude.
she doesn't dance.
I will be patient.
We love you though.